Welcome to Go Sports Tactics. Got Corey Hall from the Los Angeles Ironmen, the team that won the only event so far of 2020, the Las Vegas Open. It was a really good look for you guys. You actually beat X Factor twice at this tournament. Is Randy picking up paintballs off the ground? 3 minutes we've been into this game so far.
Billy makes a good move into the snake, and this is where he actually gets penetration on us, which is scary. His timing is impeccable.
All good paintball players are going to fill out, given an opportunity, but having that big turret up in the center with A-Rod, it was just impossible to get out.
You're going to see LJ make the move into the snake, and it's like a coordinated move right here. It's just so clean. And what you'll see A-Rod do very smartly here is he shoots him in his first interaction and doesn't continue to try and shoot him. You see him come over top, shoot him, and then he doesn't come out to try and do it again. Look at him right there. He kind of looks over, waiting for the ref to come back. That's a little confidence thing right there. You don't want Archie to get confident.
Before we jump into this final match, let's take a look at how these competitors got into this last battle here at the Ultimate Shootout number 3. Infamous' emerging star Harrison Fry had 2 close fights en route to his finals appearance. He first took down Aftermath's Andrew Wyatt in the quarterfinals. Wyatt took the early initiative, but Harrison used his creative athleticism to launch attacks, hitting buzzers and making some jump shots, putting up a sizable lead. Even though Wyatt stormed back, putting up points of his own and making it close, Harrison Fry was able to put the finishing touches on and move on to play Jeremy Zimmerman in the semifinals. That semifinals was a nail-biter. Harrison was the one to go up early, winning a couple of long-distance gunfights and going on a kill streak. But after going down 0-6, Zimmerman won a gunfight of his own and got aggressive, taking ground and hitting buzzers and eventually taking the lead. Zimmerman was only 1 point away from victory, the score 19-11. But undaunted, Harrison Fry was able to come from behind. It was one of the best games we've seen in the Ultimate Shootout, and Harrison Fry emerged victorious. He now faces his teammate Cody Mikowski in the finals. Cody Mikowski has been the most consistent player in Infamous the past few years. He is a monster gunfighter, and his ability to read the field and make the right decisions in pressure situations has earned him the respect of his peers. He needed all those skills in his quarterfinal fight against Fred Berkeley. That match could not have been closer as the lead went back and forth, and it looked like Berkeley was going to take the win. Mikowski fought his way back after being on the ropes 17-15. And in the semifinal match, Cody Mikowski took on Chad Boucher. He put up a huge lead 10-0. He had a harder time putting those last few points on the board as Chad Boucher started a comeback. But in the end, Mikowski took the victory and a solid win against a tough and seasoned competitor. He now matches up with Fry, his teammate on Infamous, here in the finals at Ultimate Shootout number 3.
Welcome to Go Sports Live. I'm Matty Marshall, and I got Dalton Vanderbyl in the seat today. And man, I'm really stoked that he's back with San Diego Dynasty. That was some big news that broke this week. Also, we broke some big news yesterday as Alex Rodriguez is not going to be playing with the Ironmen. He's going to Impact for World Cup. It's going to get crazy. So, Dalton, I want to jump into how you got back into the mix here and also remind everyone how amazing of a career that you have had and all the amazing teams that you've played for. But I think it's cool you're going to be back with the boys in blue for World Cup. But everyone remember, Monday night paintball, it's a thing now, and we're going to be doing it every single Monday night. The finals are coming up here in Ultimate Shootout number 3, and it is going to be Cody Mikowski taking on Harrison Fry, as we saw that little preview there before we started the show. Also, World Cup is still a go. Can't wait for that. And, yeah, man, November the 12th through the 15th, World Cup's going down. We're going to keep you guys updated with all the info from all the top teams as we make our way towards the biggest event of the year. And then also we are going to be filming the Virginia Invitational, Pro Invitational going down Halloween weekend as well on Go Sports. We'll have some more tactics episodes coming at you too. But without any further ado, Dalton, man, how you doing?
What up? What up? Good, man.
What up?
Excited to be back.
Welcome
I'll tell
back.
you that.
Yeah. So, all right, let's start.
It's been,
how did this happen? How did this happen? How did they get you back? Just break it all down for me.
I think between Marcelo, Rusty, and Ryan Greenspan bugging me to come back. To be honest, though, it's crazy that there was a lot of teams that kept bugging me. And I was like, I was kind of giving up paintball towards the back end of my career, started a work career, had the 2 kids, going off on that route. And then there was just team after team bugging me like, come play. I think you still got it. I'm like, do I?
Well, of course, bro. Dalton, you're a beast over there. You're the D-side god. the Dorito God. Dude, you've had a hell of a career, which we're going to get into. So it's no surprise to me that people would just randomly hit you up out of the blue. Because, bro, it's not like you got old and fat, you know? I mean, you don't have two chins on you right now. I do like the stash, by the way. The stash is looking clean.
You know?
Oh, yeah. Who was it? It was, well, I'm just saying, you don't look fat right now. Though Mouse was talking a little shit yesterday saying that Dalton is prone. Dalton's prone to gain a little bit of weight. So, you know, it's possible he might show up a little chunky to World Cup. We will see. Just throwing it out there.
Yep, but that's why I'm looking better right now.
But it does not surprise me that you were getting hit up because, like I said, man, I mean, you were one of the best to do it over there, particularly on the D side. I feel like you're super versatile. But anyway, so Rusty's hitting you up, Marcelo's hitting you up, everyone's hitting you up. They're like, what's it going to take? Dalton, we got to get you back. But was it kind of like out of, because I mean, obviously you've been playing this game. Again, we're going to get into it with your history here and remind everybody how cool of a career you did have. But I'm guessing that it's kind of tough when you play it at your certain level. Like one of my favorite quotes. I love MMA. I love mixed martial arts. The UFC is very fascinating. It's a crazy story. And not Nate Diaz, but Nick Diaz during the preambles to one of his fights, he had like, and he's not known as the most he's a wise in his own way, but Stockton, they have their own way of saying some things sometimes. But he said something pretty interesting, and he was like, it's tough when you're dealing with this fight game. I'm gonna paraphrase and probably butcher this quote because I just had a kid too and I haven't slept a lot in the past couple of days. But anyway, he said that
congrats
he's like, in order, I appreciate that. He said, in order, you have to work so hard at this that you hate it in order to really truly love it as much as you possibly can. He's talking about, obviously the grind that it takes to be an amazing fighter. Right. So you have to put in so much work that you hate it in order to truly love it, which at the time when I heard it, I'm like, wow, that's a genius ass quote, not super eloquent, but it totally works because it makes sense. And I feel like at the end of your career, you're like we had Mouse on yesterday. He's been one of the best hired guns. You were one of the best hired guns, but you were going around and playing for these teams for a paycheck, and rightfully so. Not everyone gets a chance to do that. It is a possibility. You're one of those guys who was able to do that. But at the same time, it's kind of hard because it burns you out a little bit, man, when you're flying all over and you don't have a lot of time. And it's just, that's why we started calling it the grind back in the day, because it does grind you back. So maybe we could just kind of start there and talk about what got you out of it. Obviously, the family, starting the family with the kids, and congratulations to you and your two beautiful kids. I know you got your career rolling too. And that's another thing we talk a lot about on the show is trying to, to dovetail in the paintball life with some sort of trade or work or whatever it is you got to do to have the life that you want to have, but also be able to live your passion at the same time. And now you're in that moment right now, which I think is a beautiful thing. But talk to me about what kind of got you out of it, and then we can kind of talk about what got you back into it.
Yeah, so I mean, as far as me jumping around on other teams, I'm not particularly proud of that, but I wouldn't have changed anything because as far as, I left Dynasty. This is going to be my 6th year with Dynasty. I started with them in 2011 when Oliver came back, and we had quite a ride because I think that year, that started that season, we won 4 tournaments between overseas. That was back in 7-man. And it's kind of a cool story because my first year on Dynasty, so we went to Paris. And I've never been so nervous to play paintball. I think it was a mixture between playing with Dynasty, obviously, but playing in Europe, which is out of my element. But I'm sitting there just bubble guts, nervous, everything, and I'm looking, and I got Alex Frazier, Oliver Lang, Yosh Rao.
I got a Paris mug. I got a Paris mug, by the way, for you.
What a coincidence.
Yeah, right. Sorry, continue.
So I'm looking at them, and I told Ryan, I'm like, "Oh, this is pretty cool, man." He's like, "Yeah, don't fucking blow it." But anyways, so that was probably one of the best events that I probably ever had that I could remember offhand. I didn't sit 1 point that tournament. I played every single point. And I got to give him credit because that really boosts my confidence. And that year was just special because so we went back to the States. We also had Mouse on that team. He didn't play Europe with us, but we had a great team. I mean, between I don't know, man. It was just that year, just everything clicked, and Oliver's comeback year with Dynasty. It was just, man, that was a year. But then yeah, I got the ball rolling with Dynasty. Played 3 years with Dynasty. We won a buttload of events, and then yeah, I got offered to go to Damage, which is funny because that off season, everyone was giving me shit like, "Oh, you're gonna be leaving. You're gonna be leaving." I'm like, "What are you talking about? I'm not leaving. I'm playing with my boys. You guys are my guys." And
They probably heard the deal before you heard the deal. They're like, he's not going to say no to this. Probably.
Exactly. Yep, that's what happened. And so Joey hit me up, and I'll just give you the numbers because it's kind of cool. I mean, I thought it was cool. They're like, "Hey, we're gonna give
It's
you
definitely cool.
$8,000. Yeah, $8,000 to play a tournament. One tournament, 1 weekend out of my life playing a game that I love for $8,000 after taxes." So there's 5 events, so you do the math. So I'm like, yeah, how am I gonna say no to that? I'm making, I don't know, 50, and then you add in all the taxes. I don't know the numbers, but I'm like 21-year-old kid, like, yep, I'm doing that. Sorry, guys. But so yeah, I mean, I never regretted leaving or doing all that. And
Dalton, can we just pause right here because I think this is an important thing. There are very few human beings that get to say the words that you just said. I got paid a living salary to play the game of paintball. Didn't last forever, but it did happen. And there's a few other guys that have been able to do this. Hopefully, and this is my goal, is that we will have more guys eventually in the future be able to say those same words and be proud of it. And it's tough. We talked about this with Mouse yesterday. I just watched the Dodgers beat the living shit out of the Padres for 3 games in a row. Unfortunately, that was a bummer. But for me as a San Diegan, but it's a pro sport, and there's pretty much no one on either the pod. Yeah, I know, LA all day. I got it, dog. Fucking Dodgers. But maybe they'll go on and represent SoCal and beat the shit out of everyone else too. I mean, at this point in time, whatever. But yeah, it was sad as a San Diegan to see us finally get out. Now, none of those dudes are from San Diego. There's no one from San Diego that's on the Padres. We've had a few here or there, like guys from Poway, and which is kind of sort of it is San Diego's North San Diego, but anyway, same with LA. It's like Will Smith, or not Will Smith, but Will Ferrell was joking around in one of his like baseball specials he had a couple years ago. He's like, there's just nothing more American than watching one guy from Anaheim and 10 guys from the Dominican Republic, just play this beautiful game so well. And it's just, this is pro sports, dude. Pro sports is very look, I've got a dream, and my dream is to have a winning whatever team, football team, baseball team. I want to have a promotion for boxing, whatever it is. And money talks, bullshit walks. And paintball is very tribal, and to a certain extent, and I love the fact about that. Playing with your boys is an amazing experience, and everyone should be able to experience that thing, because those are memories that you get to keep forever. And there's obviously that there's more than money at stake in a lot of ways, but very few people have the ability to play this game for money. You're one of those dudes, and I don't think we should knock that much, because like you said, it's they were like, "Oh, Dalton's gonna go," and you're like, "Nah, dude, I'm not gonna. No, bro, I'm playing with you guys for sure." It was in a couple videos. You're like, "Yeah, Dynasty till I die," and then you're like, "Wait, how much money?" Oh yeah, no, no, for sure. I'll play for Damage. Hell yeah, dude. It's like, it's kind of a no-brainer. Anytime people call me at the end of the year and we have conversations and they're not sure what to do, the first thing I ask them is like, look, is this life-changing money for you? Is the amount of money you're going to, because if it's like a couple guns or a couple grand here or there, and they already have a gig or a job, or maybe their family's got money or whatever it may be, I always ask them, I'm like, is this money going to change your life? Is it going to help you, get a place? Is it going to help you save money? Like, is this going to be a life changer for you? Because it is. Your friends on that team that play with you, they should be fully supporting your decision to go and play for Tampa Bay Damage, or go play for Houston Heat, or go play for Impact. They should be supportive of it, because that's going to change your life as a human being and give you, whatever. And that's amazing. And not everyone has the chance to do that. So they're kind of a selfish asshole if they're like, nah, dude, you can't go play for that team. Screw that money, dude.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
Continue to sleep on couches and eat dollar tacos so we can go grind. You know, that's just ridiculous. So I just wanted to put that out there into the world for anyone that may have to make this decision in the future. Because as you start dialing in here and talking about, you know, because it's tough, man. I mean, you go to but you went to Damage, and everyone, we all respected you, even the older guys, because you were awesome and talented and super cool kid coming up. And but then you went to Damage, and it was like you kind of became one of those upper echelon dudes that has that ability to transcend, to help push the sport a little bit, you know, further towards respectability, because then somebody one day can't come and go point at a guy like you, point at a guy like Mouse, and be like, yeah, these guys aren't driving Lamborghinis around, but he did get paid this certain amount of money. And like at 21, like you said, that's not a bad payday.
Yeah, I mean, and two, I don't know. I guess I'm a little confident in saying this, but I don't think there's any Dorito player better than me. Obviously it shows, because I mean, what Dorito player is getting paid like I was getting paid? I mean, you know, so you know, I saw the tactics show that you do now. It's pretty awesome. But I was watching the Colt Roberts, and that's one guy I definitely have ton of respect for. And actually, after listening to that, I'm like, I saw a lot of similarities on the way he thinks of the game. Obviously, the way he plays. I don't know if you would agree, but yeah.
I think that you and Colt have. Because, well, here's the thing about a good Dorito side player has a couple of very crucial qualities. You know, maybe we could discuss what you think as one of the best ever to do it in that position. And on any given day, like, yeah, dude, some days you were unarguably the best guy on the Dorito side, and it wasn't even a question. That's why a guy like Joey Blue, I remember talking to Skinny Kevin and Joey Blue and the guys that were in the Damage group, and they were, you know, you were highly coveted. They were like, we're getting Dalton. We're getting Dalton. This is gonna happen. And I'm like, do you think he'll go? And they're like, we're gonna give him enough money that it's gonna be a no-brainer. And I'm like, yeah. Okay, well, good for him then. I hope he gets paid. Pay that man, you know? But the crucial thing that you have to, if you're going to be a good D side, the D side, typically you have to have these huge combinations. You have to be very crafty, because you are not always the bowling ball on the D side. The snake side, typically speaking, is the strong, you know, snake side, strong side. Sometimes the D side is. Right. But this is where the caveat here is that you have to be crafty, but you also, at the drop of a hat, like in a second, you need to be able to switch, and now you're the bully. Now you're pushing people around, and you're hyper aggressive at the right moment. When the field switches, when the moment appears, and then you have to be nimble and quick with your reflexes. So when I look at Colt Roberts' career, I look at your career, you guys are both on the field really strong-willed individuals that don't like to get pushed around, which is a huge quality that you need to have just in general as a human, but particularly if you're going to play the one and be a dominant beast for a top-level team and be the guy that other people look to, and like, that's the archetype. That's what you're supposed to look like when you play this position. You know, that exists in boxing, exists in MMA, exists in football. It's like that archetypical linebacker, you know, or whatever it may be. Yep. So when you're looking at a D side guy, if he's not crafty, you know, you could, because the D side, a lot of times the best moves that you guys would make is when you just blow something open because too many guns are going towards the snake side, and you're like, oh, this is going to be a cakewalk. No one's looking at me right now. You quick, make an inside cut, shoot a dude, he's not looking, and all of a sudden now you get your 3-pack going down that side. Colt's been good at that as well too. So absolutely, I definitely see a lot of similarities between the two of you, because you guys are two guys that exist in my mind as the archetype of what you want your D side first attackers or second attackers, depending on who's in front of you. Because sometimes the play dictates that you're going to have a little bit more of a land grab on that side. We need to reach out a little bit, take some ground, but also you're blazing fast too. So are you still fast? I'm hoping you're still fast. Are you still fast?
Oh yeah. You know what? Oh, so I will say about the weight thing, which is kind of funny. So yeah, you know, Mouse is one of my oldest buddies in the game, and Spica, and who else? Nick Laval and Brandon Cornell. We have this chat where, you know, whatever. But so I would start sending them pictures this like a year ago. And I got fat. I got pretty fat.
Oh, no way.
I was like,
did you really? Well, dude, you got the dad bod, bro. You're a dad now. You got 2 kids.
Oh, yeah. So I got up to like pushing over 200, and I'm only 5'8" on a good day. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, I got a job. Yeah, it's tough. You got kids. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
you know, to be honest,
that's fine.
working
No
is
big
kind of
deal.
stressful, and life and kids, it's a lot to handle. And then you add in
Yeah,
no sleep, which I'm sure you know of. And then that
bro. I'm barely. I
you
can't
add
even.
in
2 and
bad
2 is 8 to me
decisions.
right now. I don't. Yeah, I don't. I don't. I'm like. I'm just. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't even know what's going on at this point in time, other than cleaning shit off a baby's butt and feeding them, being like, "Stop crying, please, stop crying."
I don't know why people decide to have kids still. It's dumb. I'm just kidding. But yeah,
Okay,
so
so
in
you're sending them pictures. So you're.
so I'm sending them pictures, and the funny part was I only was sending them to get the motivation because I knew they would talk shit, and and I was tired of being fat, and I missed paintball at this point. I was away for a year. This is a while ago because since COVID happened, we missed all the events, and I was actually planning to come back after Vegas. Um, in my mind, I was, but nothing on paper or with no team.
Not. Well, I remember you had told me about it. Remember, we had messaged a little bit, and you're like, "I'm
Mhm.
coming back eventually," and I was like, "Well, hell yeah, dude, that would be tight to have you come back." And then, sure enough, then I heard through the grapevine, I'm like, "We're getting Dalton." It's like, hell yeah, dude, hell yeah. But I'm glad. But that is funny that you intentionally sent the chubby pictures of you to your boys so they would talk mad shit to give you motivation to lose the weight, which is going to come. But it's now you're playing against those guys, so that it's weird how this
Mhm.
mental game is working here.
So it's weird because actually, between Dynasty and Impact are the two last teams I played for, and there was some interest in me going back to Impact, and now, with the Canadians leaving and or not leaving, but not playing with the COVID stuff, but they
Yeah.
hit me up obviously, and so that's the funny part, and now it's even better because they're talking all that shit, and now I'm really motivated because I get to play against them. So, but
It is going to make World
but
Cup. It's been a crazy year because now with so the Ironman won the first event, and so you have this kind of interest to and the Russians apparently are going to make the trip. They're going to be able to make it. I don't know. I've been trying to get Smotroff on the show. Smotroff, if you're listening, he's like, let's do the show after World Cup. And I was like, oh, okay, but it would be tight to get him on the show before. But it does appear the Russians are going to make the trip. Impact's not going to have they're Canadians, but they they stole A-Rod. And
yeah,
then
that's crazy.
Revo has been slowly but surely been getting better. We're going to have Henry Sense come on the show, give us a Revo update here in the next couple weeks. Dynasty sitting at 5th overall, but picking you up, and they had got Scotty back too. Damage, right behind you guys at 6th place, your former squad. And then AC Dallas has been making a big push the past couple years. X Factor, our world champions or series champions from last year, sitting at 8th. So it's getting pretty nasty in the top 10 because then Heat is 9th. And New York Extreme is 10th, and then Diesel
Damn.
and Infamous, and who rebooted this year. It's a pretty stacked league right now, man. Like it's gonna be really fun come Cup to see exactly what the hell happens with all of these stories and all these narratives, and guys like yourself coming back are gonna. But I think that Dynasty they had a competitive team without you, and I feel like with the consistency that, because like we said, let's talk about your position. What do you think on the D side has made you that special player? I mean, I gave my, my interpretation of what I feel like the archetype is over there, but let's hear it from the horse's mouth. I mean, to you, what makes a beast on the D side?
So I mean, personally, I try to make the game as simple as possible. I mean, life in general, for that matter. I'm a pretty simplistic dude, but as far as like the Dorito side, I mean, like, it's so, to me, it's just simple. I mean, like, if you got one guy shooting at you, put him in and go. If you got two guys shooting at you, maybe use a buddy to help you, or wait a little bit. And the biggest thing that I really, really try to implement in my game and try to buckle down was never to get shot by the snake player. That was such a huge thing for me because, like, you know, everyone says the snake side is going to win the game, blah, blah, blah. I just make it really, really hard if you're coming down the snake, you could be on our side of the snake, and I'm going to make it hard for you to shoot me. I always play like he's in our snake, first of all, which that helps because you never know when he's going to be there. So you might as well play like he's behind you pretty much. But, you know, I just make it simple. Just if a guy's shooting at you, put him in and go, you know, and then just go as far as you can. That Dorito side, no one's expecting you to win games down that side. So backdoor and baby.
It's almost like if you're again, I love boxing. I love mixed martial arts. It's fascinating that if you're a D side guy, you kind of get to be like a left hook. Like the left hook is not like that punch knocks a lot of guys out because it's the punch you don't see coming. You know, you get, the jab sets up the overhand right, which sets up the left hook. And if you're your first attacker on the D side, you're kind of like the living embodiment of the left hook, especially if you're not always the first guy to go over there. But that left hook is so brutal because it also can hit in the liver too. And the liver shot will drop you just like a temple shot will drop you if you hit somebody in the right spot. And so if as the first attacker on the D side, you get to be the living embodiment of a left hook that dudes don't see coming sometimes because like you said, if you're wary and your wits are about you and you are very trying to be, all right, look, I'm not going to let this snake guy shoot me because shooting the first attacker on the D side is huge. If you're the front snake guy, I mean, and we see guys kind of, I think, lose a lot of time, the possibility and what they could do, as far as what's possible on the D side because they're so worried about that snake side and the snake side vice versa. So the first attacker on the snake side, he gets in there and he will, instead of moving up the field and getting a better position, will be trying to shoot like the flap of your head wrap. It's like, oh, I can see Dalton's head wrap, dude. I'm going to try to shoot this lane. It's like, bro, move up 3 more spots. And now you have a way better position on him. And you're going to allow your guy to filter in behind you. And that's the way this field should play. Instead, now they're worried about shooting you cross field, So it's interesting, though, because I just think that if we look historically at – oh, hold on, I got a friend. What's up, cat? Can you get out of here? There you go. Go that way. If you look at historically as like the best teams in the world will always have a guy like you on their team. That's why dudes like you get paid, and guys like Colt Roberts are coveted because if you don't have somebody that is – again, that has a crafty mentality of how they're going to attack, but at the same time will then also be a bully when need be. Like you said, put a guy in and go. That's the bully mentality. And also, don't let that dude shoot me cross field and then make that big move when you can. I mean, that's the exact mentality. So I totally agree with you. I think that's how you're supposed to play the first attacker on the D side of the field, and that's what helps teams win championships. So let's kind of talk a little bit. All right, so how exactly did you get back in the mix? Who was the first? Did you kind of throw the like half of the bridge out there, like, hey, I'm down, I think I want to do this eventually, and then Marcelo would browbeat you, or Ryan would like, hey, let's do this, or like, how did it work? Because I do want to track back and talk about your career a little bit because you have had such an amazing career. We just dabbled in a little bit with the payday you got from Damage, but I mean, you came up the hard way. That's what I was talking to Mouse about yesterday with Aftermath, and this California scene was brutal back in the day. So I do want to talk about that. But let's talk about like who exactly did hook you in. Like, who do we have to thank for getting Dalton back on Dynasty right now?
So I'm not gonna lie. I haven't been playing that much in the last 2 years. I've played once, and that one time it was last year before Cup. It was with Dynasty, and we were practicing Impact at Camp Pendleton, or at Davesfield, Capitol Edge. And I was like, shit, I haven't played in a year. I'm trying to play out here with these guys. They're gonna just split my wig, And I was super impressed. Like in myself, I was playing pretty good, dude. I was like, I haven't missed a step besides being fat and slow and out of shape and all that. which I'm fixing that. But I was playing pretty good. And Ryan was like, dude, you got to go to Cup with us. This was last year. You got to go to Cup with us. And it didn't work out, whatever. And I'm like, well, next season, I'm going to be back, And Vegas didn't work out. And then all of a sudden, all this other stuff. But anyways, I was just bugging Marcelo, telling him, like, I watched Vegas. Oh, you know what? I watched the Ironman win. It really pissed me off. I don't know why. Just watching Ironman or the Russians win, it just really pisses me off.
It just gets you.
Yeah, so I'm like, all right, that's it. I'm going back. I can't let these guys win.
This is great.
X Factor's
great.
freaking taking, But so I'm like, I'm back, baby. And I just give most of the credit, honestly, is to Marcelo. He's been bugging me. And I've been talking to him, and they just need more consistency, I think, out of their front players, which I think I could help with. And Arturo, he played great in Vegas, and until he didn't. But he doesn't have the experience that a lot of the guys,
It's so. Let's talk about consistency, because it's so hard to be consistent. Either decide, I don't care. Well, it doesn't really matter. I mean, any of the positions on the field are the 5 starters on a pro paintball team, or just a paintball team in general. But that's kind of been what's haunting Dynasty right now, is that they look so good some tournaments. I mean, at one point in time, I think it was, I'd have to go back to my notes, but last year between the 3rd and 4th event, they put up something like, I want to say it was like 21 unanswered points. They literally put up, it was like, or 25. It was insane. They went on like this crazy run, but they still couldn't win the tournament. And they were, mercy ruling insanely good teams. And, and then I'm a big believer in the talent that I've seen out of their front players, because, Blake's very experienced and he's had outstanding performances out there. We know how good Tyler can be when he's put in that position as a 1, but it's kind of tempting to put Tyler in other positions, particularly if there's a center. There's a lot to do with there. But, and then to get the reps for everyone else as well, too. But we've seen kind of Tyler all over the place. And then you have, I think it was 4th event last year, where we finally saw out of Arturo what they'd been telling me that he had. And he was just super consistent, and he has an almost illegal snapshot. It's so nasty when it's on.
Oh, my God.
But that's the problem, is that, it's crazy. But you're going up against all these other guys that, again, we just whittled off, or named off, down to 12th overall here with Infamous, even with their rebuilt roster. It's just crazy that, again, they went and they took 12th and lost 3 games, but that's how competitive it is right now. All the way down to 12, you have teams that could potentially win events. And that's not even counting, Thunder or some of these other teams. DMG was pretty consistent last year. Uprising has taken a 4th place, 3rd place before, and they're the most inconsistent team in the league, and they ended up taking 19th at Vegas. But you just never know what you're going to see out there from some of these teams. So the consistency is key, as we saw of, say, like I said, X Factor last year. They get such consistent performances from guys like Billy Bernaccia, guys like Colt Roberts, and even some of their emerging guys like Jesse Stevens, who plays all over, but he was getting more consistent. Pretty much everyone on that. You don't win a series title and make every Sunday for 5 years if you don't have consistency. But having been that guy that's had to be the paid go-to dude that is a lot of is expected of you, how do you deal with those nerves, and how do you produce consistency? Because that's probably a question that a lot of people are asking out there. And if they're not asking that question, they really should, because that's such a crucial part to success in this game.
Yeah, and I do got to give credit to Impact. Actually, I'm kind of fortunate playing for Impact, because I feel like they helped my game, and particularly in the consistent department, and majorly because, if you mess up on that team, you're riding the bench. Dave keeps you on a really short leash, and, it just, you're going to have to play consistent or you ain't going to play. It's just very simple. So, with the Dynasty, and I went back and watched the Revo game, and it's, I don't want to throw shade, but it's like there was 3 points in a row that Arturo got shot, and Rusty, kept throwing him out there. So it's like, I mean, how you gonna you're gonna need to learn consistency through, I feel like riding the bench and thinking about your mistakes, but I don't know. It's just
like you've had to in the past.
yeah,
You
it
know, right?
sucks.
I mean, that's what you're saying. It's like playing an impact. Like, dude, I'm getting paid, but I can't see the field right now.
Yeah.
So when I made one mistake and now I'm looking at 3 points, just filling everyone's pods and wiping off hits, it sucks. I don't want this to happen anymore.
Yeah, it's not fun. And honestly, tying all this in, like with Dynasty, with Impact, with paintball in general, or at least for me, like I started paintball because it was fun. I play because it's fun, and I want to be on the field, obviously. And at the end of the day, I have no attachment to any team, whether it be Dynasty, Impact. I didn't start any of these teams, and they're going to be around after.
Yeah.
So for me, I just want to be on the field playing, having fun. And yeah, you're going to have to be consistent if you want that to be playing this league,
Well, let's throw it back then and talk a little bit how you did come up, because you were one of the guys that did come out of the, like the lion's den that did exist here in Southern California at the time when you came on the scene. And it was not easy to make your way in that world because it very much was a kind of pirate mentality. You keep what you kill. It's all about what just happened and who's killing people on the field at that exact moment and that next tournament, and to even carve out playing time on some of these, legendary squads that you did play there or play for. So how did you get into it and then get to where you are getting offered a cash deal to come play for a team like Damage,
So obviously, my history with Aftermath, I played with Aftermath for 3 years. So huge shout out to Mike Hinman. I hear a lot of people giving him credit, and he deserves all that credit because, just the guys he has that came up through the ranks is just, to me, it's the best. The best. If you could take all those Aftermath stars and play them against Dynasty stars, I still think we would take it. but anyways, I actually have a funny story because when I got on Aftermath, I tried out or whatever, and they picked me up. So the following week, I'm walking like 10 steps behind Mouse and Marcelo, right? And they're 15-year-old kids. We're all 15-year-old kids. And I hear them talking shit about me. This is so funny. This still happens to this day. So they're like, who is this kid? His stupid sandana.
This is great.
And I'm sitting there like, oh man, this hurts. And it's funny because those guys, I'm like the stepchild because those two guys are like Hinman's like glory boys. I've always been trying to catch up to them pretty much, which is funny and then it was cool. They left the team. They went to Ironman, which they deserved it. They were young and really good, and they were better than me at the time. I'll be honest. But and then I climbed the ranks the hard way. I went through every division. Actually, there was a year we played semi-pro. I don't know who gave this award, but I was a semi-pro player of the year, which is awesome. So, I mean, my confidence is through the roof because I get to play. I've always, was probably one of the better guys on my team every step of the way, through every division. And, it's just, yeah.
Well, let me ask you this question here as my eye starts twitching because I haven't slept in 3 days. But so I think this is so crucial for coaches that are out there trying to guide young men or women along their route to trying to be the best players and humans that they can be. One of the things that Aftermath and Mike Hinman particularly was famous for is just being pretty ruthless with the criticism, and in the sense that and if you couldn't take it, then you left. I just feel that every good, whether it was Shane Pastana, and I was a peer with Mike Hinman. He was actually a little younger than me. But I saw how he dealt with his dudes, and we're like, that's ruthless, but that's going to breed some killers. And I really like that about him, because that's kind of how we came up. We had these older dudes, beating on us and telling us how much we sucked all the time. And I'm glad that that's the way it was. And I'm also glad we had tough enemies. I will say this too. I never was on a team with Chris Lasoya or some of these other guys like Richie Malcheski, but I'm really happy that they existed, because it brought the best out of me. And you never really know how good you are, how strong you are, until you actually have to fight somebody that's really strong. And that's when you actually find out what you're made of. And then to have a coach that sees the best in you. And I remember having a coach in baseball, amazing dude, and his name is Ryan Floco. And he had said this great thing, and I've used this to this day. He would say something like, look, if I have faith in you, why wouldn't you have faith in yourself? If I see something in you and I see greatness in you guys, then why won't you see greatness in yourself? Put the work in required to summon that greatness, and the tenacity required in the moment, so you can let that greatness live and bring it out when we need it as a team. Everyone needs that greatness. So please stop being a little bitch and summon the greatness for all of us. That's the type of stuff that we would hear constantly. And so when I would see it out of Mike, and I'm glad, because it breeds killers. It breeds killers. And so, if you got a coach who's patting you on the back and telling you you're awesome all the time, probably, in this game of paintball, like, that's not what you need. And you came up in that, like you said, you came up the hard way, and you also had the extra, light at the end of the tunnel, or push behind your back, or whatever, pick your metaphor. But seeing a guy like Mouse, seeing a guy like Marcelo get these opportunities that you didn't have, which to a weaker person, you would have been like, oh, maybe I'm not that good. Maybe this isn't for me. Instead, you're like, oh, fuck that, dude. I'm as good as these guys are, and I'm going to go after what they have. And I'm going to be better than them one day, and I'm going to get paid to play this game. And that's how you get greatness. It's like everyone talks about Michael Jordan, and everyone's seen that documentary. If you haven't, you got to go watch it. But, it's very interesting, that the mentality, the story we tell ourselves, the story we are told, and what is dictated to us from people that are trying to help you and guide you along your trip and your adventure to get the best out of you and to see what you're really made of. So I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on that, because like you said, you did come up the hard way in a really difficult time when there was a lot of people out there trying to, be the best paintball players in California, and then by default be the best paintball players on planet Earth.
Yeah. And I think I worked hard. Obviously, looking back, I'm like, I could have did more. But I think what elevated my game was I started working out. And I heard Alex Frazier saying, like, working out and being all jacked doesn't help. But that season we went pro with Aftermath, right? And we actually ended up winning a 7-man at Jacksonville. I think it was 2008 or something like that. And it was my first season pro. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough on any first year pro. You're probably going to lose, a lot more than you win, obviously. And we actually won one, and that motivated me even more. And I started working out, and it's like, the speed, we talk about speed, and working out and lifting weights, it's going to help you. I don't care. It is, and that helped my confidence. So once I had the working out, the playing pro, winning one event, it was just off to the races. And, I never even really thought I wanted to play pro in paintball, but I just wanted to be the best at every stage. And that's the only thing that motivated me. I didn't care whether it be pro or Division 5. I just wanted to be the best at, So,
yeah.
Shout out to all the weekend warriors out there.
For sure. I mean, that's at the end of the day, it's got to be fun. But my thing I always say is, like, it's just so much more fun to win, and also it's fun to put forth. Look, me and Rich Tuffer would have this argument constantly, because he was more of the Nazi and I was more of the guy that, yeah, I'm down to show up as early as you want, and I'll stay as late as you want, and I'll do whatever workouts that you want to do, and I will grind as hard as you want to grind. But I'm also going to go home and have beers with the boys afterwards, sit in the hot tub and talk shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, we're going to have some good times involved into the work as well. So let's thread the awesomeness into the work and make the best of both worlds. But we would argue about that. Rich Telfer would have been a great Spartan warrior back in, the 300 for sure, because
Oh yeah.
that's his mentality, So I would love Rich, and I respect the hell out of him still to this day. But he's also, as much as I will say to him, man, I'm sorry I wasn't as easy to work with, back when, and I was a little bit more fighting for the dudes. And he's like, I'm sorry I was such a dickhead and fighting to keep us from doing anything fun at all. And I'm like, well, it's good that it all worked out the way that it did. It's just the same. It's like the same thing. I'm sure you guys didn't like getting yelled at by Mike, but now everyone sits here and talks about how much of kind of like an angel in disguise he was for you guys at the time. Sure, it sucked. No one liked getting kicked by Mike and yelled at and told you that you suck and how much that you were horrible at this game. But then it turned you guys into such beasts. So that's kind of an angel in disguise for all of you. I mean, if you didn't have that, maybe you never would have got that call from Damage and made that money for that amount of time in your world. I think that's a really cool thing. So, and also it is interesting that these other guys, they play for the Ironman. It's probably one of the reasons you hate the Ironman. And I get this a lot. So you get those dudes going to that team, and because they did so well during the mid 2000s with Oliver and Nicky Cuba and Paxson and Johnny and Marcelo and Mouse. They ruled the roost and when the Russians are coming up, and then the All A's too. But then, you went down that road with Aftermath. That was a cool story. But then take me into the pro journey. When did you decide? Because like you said, you didn't start any of these teams that you play on, and they're going to be around after you're gone, but you've been a big part of some of these squads during their best times. So how did you get to play for Impact? How did you get to play for Damage? Let's tell that story, because obviously I can't keep you here all night, but I feel like this is important history, that we kind of got to get to. So how did you get out of the Aftermath camp and get into these other bigger programs? I wouldn't say bigger programs, but programs that were willing to write checks and that at the time were more established institutions, whereas Aftermath was trying to become an established institution at the time.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Marcelo and Mouse went into the pro division early, and I have a funny side note that Rusty hit me up actually when I was really young. He's like, "Hey, you want to come pro, play for Infamous?" And I was like, "Nah, I'm just gonna keep playing with my friends." I had no interest at all playing pro. But anyways, the Aftermath stuff, and Aftermath, we broke up, or I departed ways, and I actually was going to quit paintball in 2009, and Vicious hit me up, Greg Pauley, and I never had so much fun playing paintball. And it's kind of like with the Aftermath thing, that's why I do, so grateful for Mike, but I don't know if I was good in that environment. I come from a good family, nice, loving family. So just that hard, and, obviously it made me better in who I am. So I'm so grateful, but I never liked it when I was there. I didn't like paintball. I didn't like playing, but so I left, and I fell in love with paintball again when I played for Vicious, and then that fell apart. And so I remember the event was one of the years in Chicago. It would have been 2010 in Chicago, but the whole Dynasty team was pretty much in the stands watching, and unbeknownst to me, they were watching me, talking about me, seeing if I was a good fit for the team. And I didn't know, but the next year, 2011, I got the call from Oliver, and he was like, "Hey, you want to come play for Dynasty?" And I was like, "Yeah, screw it, let's do it." And I was off to the races. That's the funny thing. It's so crazy how I never even cared though. It's Oliver Lang. He's calling me, play for Dynasty. Oh, look, here's my chance for pro. I still that kid, just I just want to play and have fun, but
And look at you now after all these years playing for all these teams. Okay, so you get on Dynasty, so the hardcore nature of Aftermath got you to be at least to build a foundation where you can build your own house of skills. And then you go to Vicious, find the love for the game a little bit more. You get the call from the legends. Mm-hmm. Like you said, you're in Paris. You're looking around like, holy shit, dude, this is a good ass team when we got here. And then you guys went on a little bit of a run, because that was a good time to be on Dynasty. Dynasty was doing pretty well. But then take me to the next part of the journey. You know, how did the impacts come in? How did the damage, like, how did you go to these other squads?
So actually, yeah. So, I started playing pretty dang good, and Oliver, I will give a lot of credit to Oliver. He helped me become more just a beast on that Dorito side, just like really implementing me to play the tape, take control, rap, and go. Like, just go, 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 go. It's funny because I remember like times where the coach, like Mike back in the day, or Rusty would be like, hey, let's just play smart, chill out, play the clock. And Oliver would be in my ear, fuck that, we're going. But anyways, so yeah, I started playing good. I started becoming aggressive, dominant player on that side. And like I said, I was pretty fast. I had that, which I thought I was pretty good at, was the burst speed, was, from Dorito to Dorito. You just, sometimes you just go. You don't even look. You don't check anyone in. If you have speed, just go. And people were noticing that, like, dude, this guy's aggressive. This guy's got speed. And I remember we beat Damage in one of the events in the finals, and I totally stuffed Jason Edwards, bunkered him right by their pits, and just annihilated their whole squad. Turned the field on them. And I think that was the moment where, like, dude, let's get this guy. And they had the funds to do it. And the next year they did do it. And that was that.
Then, yeah. So then you get the nod from Damage. And this is kind of when you're becoming a little bit of an institution where people are like, okay, well, Dalton's one of the best guys we got in the game. And so then you were on Damage for a while. Then you go to, I think it was Impact next. And then back to Dynasty. So how did that transition happen? Because at this point in time, you're on the mercenary tip, right? It's like, all right, well, yeah, I got a contract, but I'm a hired gun, dude. So, this is what it is. This is my profession. I'm sharpening my sword over here. I'm waiting for somebody to put a paycheck in my envelope over here. So who am I gonna go kill? But I'm gonna kill for, whoever it is that's getting me that paycheck at this point in time. Right? I mean, that's basically what it is.
I was super lucky because that year I got picked up by Damage. Impact also had interest in me, and they made me an offer. And I told Joey that offer, and then I told Dave Joey's offer, and then it went back like 3 times, and it actually made me get a little more. But yeah, so then that year was the year that Damage cut most of their funds. So I went from Damage, I went back to Dynasty for a year, and I was actually going to go to Impact, but I did go back to Dynasty for a year. And then the following year, Impact hit me up. And, at the time, I was getting older, had a girlfriend, wanted to get out of my mom's house. And that was how I did it. I made money and that was that. And I don't regret any of it because, Impact, I also have great friends on that team. Mouse is on that team. It's a guy I started with. I became great friends with J-Rab and all the guys. But so, yeah, Impact's, it's a good system between Bart and Dave. It's like,
Now, I feel, okay, there's probably a lot of people out there listening to this right now, players or coaches in the divisional ranks. You've played now for so many legendary players, with so many legendary players, and for so many legendary coaches in these different franchises. Joey Blute, Tampa Bay Damage, all the guys in the Damage squad, Kevin Brettauer, Kevin.
Yeah.
You got obviously Mike Kimmin that you just talked about. Like you just talking about Oliver and all the guys on Dynasty and Rusty now, and then again, it just all of these different systems, different guys, all masters of the game in their own way. Do you have any I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you have any favorites or any guys that you really like certain ways? Like if you had to be a coach, who would you emulate? Would it be more Rusty style? Would it be more Dave style? Would it be more SK? Would it be more Joey? Would it be more Mike Hinman? I mean, again, you've been involved with so many of these guys. So, if you all of a sudden were, all right, hey, Dalton, I'm going to give you, $10,000 to coach this team. Who would you try to emulate and how would you do that?
Well, it's kind of tough because with Impact, the roster's so deep. It's like with Dave, I like the way Dave coached because, like I said, he didn't give you many chances, and when you have 10 good guys, he doesn't need you to, he doesn't need you. He could use the next guy up. So, but if I had to pick, probably probably Rusty. I mean, because he just he's a freaking smart dude. He's a great dad, great family man. It's just like a guy you want to be around and one day look up to and be. And then on the field, there's no one that he's just the way he's like Belichick, do your job. Here's the X's and O's. I don't care if you're hyped. I don't care if you're down. Just go out there and do your job. And that maybe that's just my the way I am. So maybe that's probably it.
Well, everyone's got their own personalities. I mean, that's a special part of just being a human on planet Earth. But having been around Rusty, I played with Rusty on Excessive, and I've known Rusty when he was the FNG on Avalanche and seen him come up since he was a teenager. But Rusty Glaze is a great foxhole guy. He's the type of guy that if we were in a war, he's a good guy to have in your area because he's going to be cracking jokes when he needs to crack jokes. He'll have a good hype speech when he needs to have a good hype speech. He'll sit in the meeting and be super business-like when you need him to be business-like. I mean, he's got that type of personality. Whatever the moment requires. If we're drinking at the bar and we're bullshitting, he's cool with that too. And so he's got a good vibe. Again, not to say like, dude, SK can do all those things. So can Dave. I love Dave's intensity. I love SK's intelligence and his X's and O's because of the way he looks at the game. I love Mike Kimmon's ability to, be no bullshit and bring out the best in dudes and just be ruthless because you kind of need that. And, so but it's like along the way, this is it's a good thing that you kind of did get that round, that roundaway kind of trajectory towards being the player you are now, coming back into the sport after you got the kids, you got your job, you've been through all these different experiences. I mean, you're not that old yet. You still got a lot of time if you want to do this. As long as you keep those LBs off, you know what I'm saying? Because that'll get you in the end. But it's like, but you've had this amazing experience with all these crazy individuals and all these intelligent, super high paintball IQ dudes that have all had their own trips. So I just think it's super cool that now you're coming back to Dynasty here for World Cup during the COVID year when who knows what the hell is going to happen. I mean, it's like the gates are wide open, man. I could literally make an argument for all the way down to probably, I'd say 13th place right now because Level, Energy, ML Kings, maybe even DMG has a chance. Aftermath, Uprising maybe also has a chance. Outlaws maybe too. I don't know. Outlaws are literally 20th place, and now we got a new team coming in from. So I will give you guys more updates on that, but it's it's getting wild out here. This is the story wise, it's definitely getting pretty interesting within the framework of pro paintball. So I'm pretty excited about how things are going to progress. Obviously, with this crazy year we've had and COVID, and I don't know, it's been madness, man. But with the one-on-one stuff we've been doing, I mean, we're doing the best we can. Here in the sport, again, the one-on-ones coming up here on Monday. Dalton, I lose you. You still there? Dalton. I hear you.
Can't hear me?
I don't see you. There he is. I see you now. Yeah. So, but again, everyone, we do have Monday Night Paintball going down. Cody Mikowski versus Harrison Fry, battle of the dudes from Infamous in the one-on-one. Dalton, I don't know if you know, but the guy who wins the finale, so the 1 and 2 from all these ultimate shootouts go to play in a finale, and the winner of the finale wins $7,000 cash money.
Okay, what the heck?
I don't know if you knew that.
What was I doing? My job.
I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know if anyone told you, but if you want to get into an ultimate shootout, I'm just letting you know that there is a big payday at the end of the rainbow here for whoever ends up taking first. The ultimate, the finale is again the best of the best. So but that's what we're trying to do. We had to do something with the COVID craziness because there's no way I'm gonna sit on my hands on my couch and do absolutely nothing while I watch everything that we built for years burn to the ground. Hell no, dude. We weren't gonna do that. So I drove out to Texas. We summoned anyone that was down to roll in Texas to get some one-on-one battles going on, and that's the ultimate shootout. But anyway, So we're building towards the finale. We've already filmed 3 and 4. Battle for the finals. The 3 is going down right now. It's Cody versus Harrison. We also got the Virginia Pro Paintball exhibition before World Cup going down Halloween weekend, 31st and November 1st out in Chesapeake, Virginia. Obviously World Cup. And we'll have more tactics episodes coming at you. Dalton, we should find some footage of like an old school, just tailor-made, badass, you murdering everyone on the D side and do a tactics on that from back in the day. Are you down for that?
Yeah. Yeah, there's actually a really cool game. I've been watching so much paintball because and those tactics are really cool, man. Really, really awesome. But there's a cool game I played against Heat in Vegas that I would love to go over because I was like, dang, dude, I was on one. I think there was like 3 games where we were down bodies and we came back and won. And I was like, I don't know. It was just such a good game I played. I was happy for myself, and I almost forgot about it. And I was rewatching. I'm like, dang, that was cool.
All right, let's do that one. We'll you and I will communicate. I'll get you the footage that you need to. Obviously, you already rewatched it, but we cut it all up. We'll send you the cut up version of it, and then we'll talk through some tactics about how you did the magic out there. But Dalton, thank you so much, man. I'm stoked to have you back in the game. It's awesome. Congratulations on your beautiful family and everything you got going on. But I'm definitely looking forward to watching you crush people for Dynasty come World Cup. Please give me a reason to sing your praises out there, because it would be cool to watch the boys in blue win again. You know, it's been a little bit since Dynasty has won a tournament. They're due. And I feel with you coming back to the ranks with what they already got and what they're working with the badass guns they got too now with the forces, it's going to be really cool. Any last thoughts? Anyone you want to thank before we sign off, or anything else you want to talk about before we dip?
Just a huge shout out to everyone hitting me up on Instagram. I almost forgot how many Dynasty fans there are, man. It's like every time I left the team, it's like I lost like 1,000 followers on Instagram and stuff, and then when I come back, it's like. But there's so many Dynasty fans out there, and it's yeah. So shout out to all you guys, man. I'm gonna play my ass off. I've never been so excited to play, honestly. Like. I'm down the LBs, ready to run. I'll play the snake if I have to. I'll go up to center. I'll do anything. I'm just so excited, and this COVID stuff's been cooping me up. So I'm just so excited to be back out there.
Well, again, brother, thank you so much for sitting in with me. I really appreciate it. We'll have to touch base with you. We're definitely going to do a tactics episode for sure. But yeah, dude, stoked to see what happens with you guys for the 2020 World Cup. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in here. Matt, props to Dalton Vanderbyl coming back to the game after getting everything sorted away with his regular life, with his beautiful family and his job. And maybe Dynasty for sure has a chance at Cup, but it's going to get crazy. We're going to keep you guys updated with everything. Also, we're going to be having Archie Montemayor and Dan Napoli coming on the show next week, and also a bunch of other guests coming up as well as we build here towards this World Cup, where who the hell knows what's going to happen. Again, Dalton, thank you so much for sitting in with me. I really appreciate it. Shout out to, again, your beautiful family, and I'll see everyone next time. Peace.
Before we jump into this final match, let's take a look at how these competitors got into this last battle here at the Ultimate Shootout number 3. Infamous's emerging star Harrison Fry had 2 close fights en route to his finals appearance. He first took down Aftermath's Andrew Wyatt in the quarterfinals. Wyatt took the early initiative, but Harrison used his creative athleticism to launch attacks, hitting buzzers and making some jump shots, putting up a sizable lead. Even though Wyatt stormed back, putting up points of his own and making it close, Harrison Fry was able to put the finishing touches on and move on to play Jeremy Zimmerman in the semifinals. That semifinals was a nail-biter. Harrison was the one to go up early, winning a couple of long-distance gunfights and going on a kill streak. But after going down 0-6, Zimmerman won a gunfight of his own and got aggressive, taking ground and hitting buzzers and eventually taking the lead. Zimmerman was only 1 point away from victory, the score 19-11. But undaunted, Harrison Fry was able to come from behind. It was one of the best games we've seen in the Ultimate Shootout, and Harrison Fry emerged victorious. He now faces his teammate Cody Mikowski in the finals. Cody Mikowski has been the most consistent player in Infamous the past few years. He is a monster gunfighter, and his ability to read the field and make the right decisions in pressure situations has earned him the respect of his peers. He needed all those skills in his quarterfinal fight against Fred Berkeley. That match could not have been closer as the lead went back and forth, and it looked like Berkeley was going to take the win. Mikowski fought his way back after being on the ropes 17-15. And in the semifinal match, Cody Mikowski took on Chad Boucher. They put up a huge lead 10-0. He had a harder time putting those last few points on the board as Chad Boucher started a comeback. But in the end, Mikowski took the victory and a solid win against a tough and seasoned competitor. He now matches up with Fry, his teammate on Infamous, here in the finals at Ultimate Shootout number 3.